Welcome everyone to the first ever Draftarig video. Alex and I are here we're two of the Draft League commissioners, reviewing and discussing the power ranks of our two leagues. I'll be talking about the Victory League, and Alex will be talking about the Wellspring League. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So first and foremost, I will say that all these teams in Victory League are very strong. I genuinely think any of them can win this, but someone had to be at the bottom, and sadly for picks, that is the Falaba Fossils. If we have a look at his team, it's a pretty good team, to be honest. It's definitely got a Sun core that it relies heavily on that. My main concerns, Alex, are the only Stealth Rock users are Regirock and Camerupt, who are hype, but are they any good?
Mm.
Aside from that, there's Toxic Spikes on the Beedrill, and not much in the way of hazard removal. You've got Chinchino with Tidy Up, Mr. Mime with Rapid Spin, and Beedrill defogging. So those were my main concerns with this team. There's also a fairly strong ground weakness, with the only resistance being Lilligant, which isn't the most bulky thing in the world, and Gyarados. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of hype and setup potential in this team, but there's not. There definitely is some issues with it. So that was kind of my thinking here. It is still a strong team, though, and Pix is very capable of making it work, for sure.
If there's anyone who can make a team like this work, it's probably Pix.
Yeah, definitely. But, obviously, I like the Sun team. I think Zebstrike is one of the better F tiers. Urshifu's cool. Stella Chinchino is interesting. I don't.
Yeah, I'm curious the thought process behind that.
I think the thought process is he wants. I don't fully understand how Stella works. If I'm honest, do you get the Terra boost the first time you use a move or something?
I think it's like a weaker stab boost the first time you
Right.
use any non-stab typing.
So I guess you'll get that boost on Broad
Oh, I
Seed,
see.
Rock Blast, and Triple Axle and stuff, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like I said, it's a good team. Twigger's obviously great, and Snut from Daizuk and Nico, which is always fun. But yeah, I think Pix can do well, but the team definitely has some flaws, and he will have to play well to overcome them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if we jump into 13th rank, we have Rookadee's Nuts. Great name. It actually is a cool logo, but
It is.
just interesting name. Let's take a look at the team real quick.
Another Sun
So
team.
it's another Sun team, and this one I feel like relies even more heavily on the Sun to work. It's a cool team for sure. It's definitely my concern is that Mega Charizard has to come every week, and being weak to Stealth Rocks and stuff, and you're not able to run Boots. Generally speaking, this team is very weak to Rock. If you look at it, the only resist is Clodsire.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's also not. I don't think there's any priority in this team. Sucker Punch Galvantula.
Oh, yeah.
That might be.
Well,
Oh, and
don't forget, yeah, Thunderclap.
Thunderclap's good too, I guess. Yeah. It's just there's a lot of shared weaknesses, not a lot of switch-ins and stuff, but this team can also overwhelm a team that isn't prepared for the Sun. So, I don't know. Again, potential, but definitely has its flaws. I don't know Steve Guy all that well, and his battling ability. I know he went really well last season, but we'll have to wait and see how this team shapes up.
Mm-hmm. I really want to point out that this team is very hype. I love the Tropius pick.
Oh yeah, in my rankings, this team got a 9.5 out of 10 for hype.
Wow.
It's cool. Tropius is good. I think the wild card's cool, and that does help with the ground
Oh.
weakness as well. You know, grass Typhlosion can spam solar beams and stuff, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's okay. It's an okay team. There's enough hazard removal. There's enough pivoting and stuff. The type matchup chart. There's a lot of types he also doesn't have. He doesn't have any water types, any ice, any fighting, any rock, any ghost. There's no darks or steels. There's just some things missing from this team, but I think it synergizes well enough. So we'll see if we can overcome that.
Yep.
All right, now this is where it starts to get a little controversial here. The Orlando Muse. Now, if we look at this team, you're going to look at this team and think, how on earth is this 12?
Yeah, that is something I'm wondering.
Look, on paper, it's a good team for sure. But my concerns, there is a Corviknight there, which is unhype. There is a Chi-Power, which is unhype. In terms of priority, I think there's only Accelerock and Shadow Sneak, and also Ice Shard as well. So there's actually quite a bit. But, you know, in terms of your hazard removal stuff, you've got Rapid Spin, Claydol, and Defog Corviknight and Rotom, which is okay, but not amazing when the team's kind of weak to rock. This team, I'll be honest, this team's on paper pretty good, but it just really highlights the strength or what I think of the teams above it, and it was really brought down by the hype factor. I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that was such a big part of it.
I mean, it's my feelings towards Corviknight are not unknown to people, and I don't know. There's some cool ones, but there's some ones that really drag it down. I think the first two are some of the most overrated mons in draft, personally. Controversial opinion, but that's
Hot take.
that's what it is. A hot take, and objectively speaking, they kind of do pair pretty well together, especially when you consider Naganadel and Mega Venusaur right after it. But yeah, this is we're definitely in the territory of this team could do really well, but we'll have to wait and see.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, in 11 we have Nico and the Gliscor Gales. Let's take a look at their team.
Oop. This PowerPoint's freaking out for me. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay. The main things that jump out of the screen to me here are the Ogerpon and the Iron Bundle. Ogerpon, as we know from that team league in season 4.5, can absolutely carry a team. I think it went something like 36-1 in 8 games or something like that.
It was ridiculous.
It was crazy. So, I mean, Ogerpon, it's a little bit predictable, but sometimes that doesn't matter because it has all the moves it needs to have. I think. I don't think there's a single type that really walls it. Could be wrong there, but Zacian Light is pretty strong, and Iron Bundle hits everything too if you can land Hydro Pumps. So, yeah, this team's good. My concerns are I'm not sure what the Greedent does, if I'm honest with you. Does that get the Stuffed Cheek thing? Is that?
Yeah, it gets Stuffed Cheek. I know it has it can run some interesting berry sets like Body Press. It gets Belly Drum.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's not too bad. There's nothing between 99 and 60 speed, so that speed tier drags it down a little bit. In terms of priority, you've got Mach Punch, Conch Elder, and Sucker Punch. King Gambit. Aside from that, I don't really see much else. I mean, things might get quick attack and stuff, but that's about it. Your only hazard setters are Ariados and King Gambit. In terms of removal, you've only got Defog from Latios, and Conkeldurr and Thundurus. All things that probably don't want to run Defog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Again, the team is strong, but there are a few things... There are a few things that could be exploited from opposition teams, I think. You know, the ground weakness is clearly there as well, aside from Latios and Thundurus, who are immune to it. Everything else is neutral or weak. So, yeah. Nico obviously did really well last season and got promoted from the third string league. So, we know he's capable of it, and he loves his Conkeldurr. That Terra Steel is going to be interesting to see. But, yeah, we'll see how it goes for Nico this year. Or this season, I should say. Do you have anything to add, Alex?
I think that's a pretty good summary. I do find it funny that Conkeldurr is making a return appearance. It seems like Nico loves Conkeldurr.
Is the steel just for fairy types, or am I missing something else that it gets?
I don't remember if it gets Bullet Punch or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might just be for the fairy types and flying types.
Yeah, that's true. And psychic too. It kind of does. It covers its weaknesses and stuff for sure, but yeah, he loves his Conkeldurr, and I expect that to come to probably 7 or 8 of the 8 matches. So we'll see how that goes for him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now in number 10, we have Goes Gains, the infamous Daizuk team. If we have a look at it here,
yeah, Goes Gains.
He's definitely got a fan base for sure. The poor guy decided to go with the theme of drafting Mono UU plus Palafin and Pikachu. So it's interesting. This team's not bad. The speed tiers are actually quite good. Everything's kind of between 125-ish and 90. My concerns are that there's no Ghost. There's a pretty decent sized weakness to Fairy. The only resists are Talonflame and Tinkaton. So, I mean, the Terra Poison Regidrago is a big help for sure. I just wonder if this team has the power to beat stuff. I mean, things can set up for sure, and that's a big strength of this team. There's a lot of support with Screamtail as well, and also I think things like Lilligant can get like aromatherapy and stuff like that to give a burnt Garchomp or Tinkaton a second chance. There's definitely strengths of this team. I just wonder. I feel like it relies heavily on setting up and stuff like that. There's not many things that come out from the gate and hit hard. Would you agree with that?
I think there are a few things, but it is definitely seems like setup is more the strength. Like a Choice Band Palafin can hit really hard. Regidrago, like Dragon Energy, can chunk things. But those are kind of two specific things. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I know how strong of a player Daizuk is, as much as I hate to admit it. But, I mean, he can get this to work, I'm sure. There's some things, there's other teams that are stronger, in my opinion, and this one also has a Garchomp, which didn't help.
Boo.
# drop Garchomp. Ugly. All right, let's move on to the next one. We have Aloe, a newcomer to the server and the league with the Electivire and Friends. Let's take a look at this one. We've seen sun teams, and now we're seeing an electric terrain team.
Ooh.
Yeah. This one can do some things. I can't think of too many things at the top of my head that can beat those top four, and also throw in Skarmory as well. It's a pretty good start to the draft. I think it may have died away a bit towards the end. I wonder if this team needed Pincurchin, whatever it's called, because it is so reliant on the electric terrain there. Yeah, in terms of like it gets plenty of hazards and removal and stuff like that. A lot of U-turns. Not a ton of priority. That's probably a bit of a weakness for it. It is pretty weak to things like rock and ghost as well. Yeah, I fear that it could be a bit of a one-trick pony team. That's my concern here. Without electric terrain, I think this team would struggle a little bit, but it does also simultaneously seem pretty hard to beat down. Yeah. I don't think there's a ton more to say about this one. The speed tiers are okay. Actually, they're pretty good. There's a bit of a gap between 130 and 110. But aside from that, it's pretty good. A lot of type coverage. I think Aloe could do well here. I don't hate this team. I think it's a pretty good one, actually.
I like that strong Volt turn combo with the Tapu Koko and the Landorus.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty scary.
Sure. Yeah.
Although I am disappointed that none of these three are on the team.
Well, there was definitely potential for a mascot pick, and that was a swing and a miss.
Triple the options of most people and did not pick one of them.
Imagine having more than one mascot and not picking them.
Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
That's crazy.
All right, let's move in. Let's move on to the top 9. We have the totally awesome Greninjas, Spore. Now, the thing that jumps out at the page, you can probably see. Terrapagos? I don't know.
I said
Terrapagos? Yeah, Terrapagos. Okay, sure. Let's go with that. And Dragapult and Melmetal are pretty good 1, 2, 3 punches for this team. You can see, well, I feel like he's really tried to go out of his way to make Terrapagos strong. I mean, it's only weak to fighting, and then he immediately drafted after that a Dragapult, and then the Moltres Terra Fairy plus Azumarill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool concept. I feel like it's going to come every week. Those top 2 definitely will come every week, just about. The team, there's the low tier stuff is pretty good. I like the Alolan Persian and the Chimecho and the Garbodor picks. I wonder what the Toedscool does. That ability sucks. I mean, it's a spinner, which is cool. Sleep isn't banned here. Yeah, I think there's a slight ice weakness, but then you could run Thick Fat Azu, and that takes absolutely nothing from it. And there's other stuff as well, like Melmetal. Yeah, there's the thing I like about this team is that there's also a Trick Room potential. I like that. You know, it could run fast or really slow. I think this is a tough team to prep against. I mean, any team with a turtle is tough, but I think this is a pretty well-made team with said turtle.
This is a scary team.
Definitely a scary team.
I don't think Toad Scroll is that bad. I've considered drafting it before.
Do you think it would need to be the Terror, though, to fix that quad death by Ice Shard?
I mean, if you're that scared of ice types, yeah, but I think you just kind of have to not leave it in against ice types.
I just really wish it didn't have that ability. It does.
Yeah,
It sucks.
I think you kind of want to try and catch something on the switch with it.
That's fair.
Because, like with Amoonguss is so slow, anyways, that its spore usually goes last.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think he'll probably see it as more of just something else that they have to prep for because, again, I feel like you probably need to commit 2 or 3 mons at least to the turtle, and that may open up things for, your Dragapults and your Toadstools and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy Shocks can do things. Melmetal, obviously. Azu gets a belly drum and it's over. There's a lot of things this team can do.
Yeah.
Tough to prep for. I'm glad I don't have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was the turtle picked first, or was it a...
First overall.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to number 7. The Brooklyn Charizards. Okay. So, this team is, once again, pretty strong. There's no obvious weaknesses in terms of, things that stand out. If you look at the type chart thing. My concerns, I guess, are the priority is non-existent. There is none, I think.
Maybe
Sucker Punch Rotom fan.
Print Plup Aqua Jet.
Does that get Aqua Jet, does it?
Empoleon does.
Okay. Yeah. It's just this is the team I looked at and said priority where. But it is a strong team typing wise. I think Mega Aggron is a super cool pick. There's not many things that can take that down in one hit anyway. Buzzwole is a worse Heracross.
Poor Heracross.
The Azelf Fairy is interesting. I don't get that a lot.
I guess
I wonder
to
if
beat dark types.
I guess so, yeah. I just wonder if fighting would have been better, though. Because it already gets, like, Dazzling Gleam and stuff. I guess you could run, like, Focus Blast and stuff like that. I like the Flutter Mane pick. I like the Ogerpon pick. I think Ogerpon's, in all its forms, are pretty strong, and the Water one's one of the stronger ones for sure. Hydreigon's a cool pick. I love the Pyroll pick. I think that's one of the best F tiers going around. Yeah, we're definitely in the range of teams that could go really well here, I think. So, yeah, while this team is ranked 7, I feel like this is definitely a team that should be aiming for playoffs, in my opinion.
You say that as if they all shouldn't be.
No, they all should be for sure. But if I were to guess, 7 or 8 teams that I think could make the top 6, this would definitely be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump on to rank 6. We've got Tusk and the Grand Prairie Pangoros. Great name. Big fan of this team. Well, this coach as well. I like Tusk. I think his battle style is typically bulky offense, and looking at his team, he definitely ticked that box. There are some weaknesses around, but they're not overwhelming. I think a strong electric type could give this team some trouble after Crocodile's gone. And it also, you think this team's bulky and stuff, which it is, but it's also pretty strong on the offense as well. You look at things like Lunala, which can sweep a team in 2 moves. You know, you're on meteor beam agility and stuff like that, and it's sweeping you. Terrakion is a great B tier. It can hit just about everything. I'm a big Terrakion fan. Crocodile is obviously great. Can run Moxie or Bulky, Intimidate, stuff like that. Celesteal is gross, but it is good. Clefable is gross, but it is good. Dodrio is cool. I've never seen Center Scorch drafted, and I'm super excited that it was drafted. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Tusk can do with Center Scorch. In terms of hazards and stuff, the only removal is Tentacruel with Rapid Spin, and you've got Lunala and Crobat with Defog. So I feel like he may have to run heavy-duty boots quite a bit, which is a bit of a hindrance. But, you know, we'll see what he comes up with. Yeah, I think this team is very Tusk. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he did really well with this and became a bit of a pain to prep for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really like the Chestnut pick.
Chestnut's cool. I actually thought that might be his wild card, if I'm honest. I thought, do people normally go like Terra Steel or something with that?
I guess you
just
could.
To stop that flying type. I just know it gets like body press and iron defense and stuff like that. So you could also just run fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Which you can do for free and stuff like that. I think Chestnut's a good pick too. Yeah. And Bulletproof actually stops a surprisingly high number of moves.
It stops Shadow Ball.
It does stop Shadow Ball. Sludge Bomb, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a cool team. Tusk is a good player, so I expect big things from the Pangoros this season.
High expectations, no pressure, Tusk.
No pressure at all. Part of the Utah Alliance as well. All right, let's jump into number 5. One of our fan favorites, our fellow DLC, the Menacing Krakens with Nuno Gomes 21.
Oh my gosh, it's CC.
It's CC. This team's cool. I like this team a lot. My only concerns, there's not a ton of priority. I feel like maybe I overrate priority. For me, it's very important. This team just relies on the setup potential of this team is huge. Just about everything can set up.
Is there any priority besides Sucker Punch Nidoking?
I think things might get quick attack. Like I know Cobalion does, I think.
Oh yeah, it gets
Blaziken does.
It gets Vacuum Wave now too.
Oh yeah, Vacuum. Yeah, that's actually pretty big for it. That's pretty big for this team. That getting Vacuum Wave. But yeah, there's like quick attack and stuff like that. I think Drift Bloom may get Sucker Punch.
Mm.
It's kind of just stuff like that. It's nothing really that you would look at and think, oh, look out for the Ice Shards, look out for the extreme speeds and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, this team's setup potential is huge. Iron Boulder can set up, Ogerpon can set up. Does Cobalion get Calm Mind? Probably. Or Swords Dance, or both.
It gets Iron Defense.
There you go. Gyarados, obviously. Nidoking in Draft League is one of the best mons, in my opinion. It just can come out and hit anything. It's incredibly strong. Blaziken, obviously. Gramble, more of a wall, but can also hit pretty hard. And it's got like base 120, 125 attack or something like that.
Yeah, something like
that. Drift Bloom, it's cool as well. You got Unburden shenanigans, Flare Boost. I love the Terra Electric Frostmoth pick. I think that's really cool. And I think, Bolt Beam can hit everything, and Frostmoth, Quiver Dance, obviously. Palkia Origin, I think he probably wanted the other Palkia, but it got taken earlier by Aloe, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But this gives him, a high speed tier as well, something that's a little bit faster than the Ogerpon and only slightly slower than the Boulder, I think. But not a lot of things can switch into a Palkia Origin, and Electros is cool as well with no weaknesses and stuff. I think if I were to, before any games even happen, if I were to pick a few teams, like 2 or 3 teams that I think could win the league, this would be one of them. I think Nuno's a great player, and this is a very good draft, and he should be very happy with it.
Yeah, it's a strong team.
Yeah. He's had 1 or 2 rough seasons, but I don't think this will be one of them.
Is there hazard removal aside from like Drifblim and Frostmoth?
The only other one's Blaziken, I think. So that is a bit of a weakness for sure. So yeah, there's some hazard issues, definitely. I think the only switch into a fairy type is Nidoking, which he probably doesn't want to come in and take a Moonblast to the face.
No, not really.
There is no Ghost switch in until Gyarados Megas. And even then, you probably don't want that taking a really strong Ghost move either. Actually, its special defense is decent, I think.
It's pretty bulky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's probably going to be running like Assault Vest, Electros and stuff a lot to handle some switch-in stuff, but that will eventually wear down. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the hazards. That's probably a bit of an issue with this team.
Nuno's capable. He can deal with.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this team, just given how strong it is on the setup stuff, I feel like maybe he doesn't want games to last that long, that hazards matter. But
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, for some people and some teams, hazards matter a ton. Like, if you look at Tusk's team, the one we just looked at, if he had no hazard removal, that would be a pretty big problem. But I think for Nuno's, it matters a lot less. So, yeah, I'm hoping Nuno does well. He's one of the better players here, so we'll see what happens.
We will.
All right. We're into the top 4. The Salt Lake City Spinders. Who would have thought? She went into this with the mentality of what is going on with this PowerPoint.
Sorry,
there we go.
Because every time I advance the slide, it kind of freaks out. I don't know what's happening.
She went into this with the mentality of drafting all the girl bosses, which I think she kind of did. Pheromosa, Toxapex, Marwile, Celebi, stuff like that. Anyway, objectively speaking, I feel like this team's actually pretty strong. I guess the main concern is a ground weakness. The only switch-in is kind of Celebi or Togetic. And that's before Celebi tears into a rock type. But I think in terms of, Pheromos is a great pick. 151 speed and hits really hard. I think it's a cool pick. Marwile's a great setup mon. Arcanine, there's not really a switch into Arcanine if it's choice banded and stuff like that. Likewise, Blood Moon. There's a lot of trick room potential in this team as well. If you run it with Celebi or with Spinder, I think gets it as well. I just think this team ticks a lot of boxes. I think, you got your rapid spinners and stuff with Spinder and Morpeko. I think Pheromosa also gets it, maybe.
It does.
Okay. I mean, you probably wouldn't run it on that unless you had to, but it's an option. And you got Defog Togetic as well, which is super bulky. A lot of support stuff too. Yeah, I like this team. I think Boss Baby can be very happy with this team. It's very cute. It's very on brand for her. So we'll see how they go.
I like the Terra Rock Celebi. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean it fixes its bugs and rocks, weaknesses and stuff. I mean it doesn't fix does rock resist bug?
No.
No. But I mean the Celebi can hit back, so
Yeah, it seems
yeah,
like a
I
pretty
think
offensive Terra option.
yeah, it's the only negative of it would is that, like I said, there is that ground weakness, so she'll have to be careful of that one for sure. Yeah. All right, let's jump into team number three, the ISL Mob Squad.
Oh my. I forgot this team is in Victory League.
They are in Victory League, and it is a strong team. I like this team. Okie Dogie, or Okie Doggy, whatever it is. I I think this is a really cool mon. Is it a first round pick cool mon? Probably not, but who cares? um, it hits really hard, like 130 attack, I think. Decent typing, poison and fighting. Obviously weak to the psychic, and that's probably why you went Terra Dark. So you can't just spam a psychic move against it. Gliscor's good, Latias is good, Chiyu's good, Primarina is good. Like all these things play a role in the team, and I feel like they all come together pretty nicely. Pekarunt, I think, is pretty underrated. I think it's quite good from what I've seen so far. The move pool's pretty shallow, but not many things can switch into Ghost and Poison Stab, right?
Maybe like King Gambit, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it might get like Will-O-Wisp or something as well. So for that particular thing, there may be answers. But yeah, overall, I like this team. I like the fast electric type Raikou. I think I like the dark Okidogi, but I feel like maybe something like Raikou or even Inteleon or Pekarunt could have been a good Terra type too, a Terra wild card. But
The team is kind of lacking in offensive ice moves a bit.
yeah, I mean, there in terms of ice stab, there's zero. That's why I thought maybe Raikou could have been better. But I mean, I guess you're just relying on Inteleon ice beams, Latias ice beams, Primarina probably gets ice beam too.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. I'm a big fan of ice types, offensively speaking, and yeah, not having that is a weakness. But yeah, in terms of like everything else, there's some good mons here. I like the Primarina Rillaboom Raikou 3. I think they work nicely together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add. I think this team should do pretty well this season. They're probably one of the three I like as well. But we'll wait and see. In terms of hazard removal and stuff, that team only really has Forretress and Latias too, and Gliscor, I guess. So maybe something can be exploited there. Yeah, we'll see. I think this team's a pretty good one, though.
It seems like a team where every Pokemon is kind of drafted like with a role in mind. There don't really seem to be any like, well, we have to have one more Pokemon, so we'll just get this, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think, yeah, like you said, each thing has a role, and I think they help each other out nicely in it. I suppose the one thing I'm maybe concerned about is maybe there's an over reliance on Forretress and or Gliscor, but I think this team can overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, we're into the top two now. We have Goes and the Austrian Anchors in rank 2. Another DLC in the server. This team's good. I know Go's got sniped on a few things, but I think he recovered nicely. Um, if you look at it like in terms of speed tiers and stuff, the only concern in speed tiers is there's nothing between Greninja and Nihilego. So, 125 ish to 100 ish. Um, but like hazards and stuff, there's, five or six setters, three stealth rocks, a couple of toxic spikes, and a spike, two rapid spinners, a bunch of defoggers, a lot of U-turn and volt switch stuff. There's a bunch of priority stuff too, if you count Gale Wings as well. Obviously, there's Genesect Extreme Speed, Water Shurikens, there's Quick Attacks, Ice Shards. Yeah, this team's pretty good, I think. I think the only thing this team may struggle with a little bit is if something does get set up, like even just one sword stance or something, it doesn't really have anything super bulky that can stop it, I think. I guess you could say Rotom, maybe. But it's a pretty offensive-minded team, I think. So I don't think Goes will want games to go for too long.
It's definitely a far cry from a few seasons ago when he drafted Blissey, Corviknight,
Yeah,
whatever.
there's no Blissey, Corviknight, and Wishy Washy team anymore.
I like it though.
He's evolved, and I think this is a good team for him.
Character development.
I like it. This is more up my alley of kind of teams, so of course I like it.
Mm-hmm. It does kind of seem like this team has pretty much everything it needs.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see the number one team now.
Yeah. Yep. So speaking of teams that are right up my alley, the number one team I have is the Retro City Rampardos. And if we take a look at this team, I really like this team. I think probably the biggest concern for me would be the hazards and removal stuff, but the only removal is Latios, but he has that Cinderace, and I think if he hadn't have had that Cinderace, this team would be a lot worse. Do you hazard stack him with a Cinderace there? If I was playing this team, I would struggle with that decision. But the Grass Mamoswine is a great pick. Whoever else did that is a genius.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In terms of type matchups, there's no obvious weaknesses I can see. There's enough priority between, Meow, Mamoswine, Keldeo, and also Bennett obviously gets all the Prankster and Shadow Sneaks and stuff like that. Plenty of hazard setting, but the removal is obviously an issue like we discussed. In terms of U-turn and Volt Switch and Flip turns, half the team gets it. So I also think special shout-out to Reveroom. I think that's one of the most underrated mons we have. It can do a lot. I know you've used it before in the past, and I think you enjoyed it.
It's a fun one. I like it.
Yeah. Meloetta's really cool too. The only bad pick in terms of hype is Magearna.
So biased.
Everything else is cool. Magearna's rough, though. That could have been something better. I like this team a lot, for sure. High hopes for him. I know he got relegated from Premier League last season, but I think if things go how I expect them to, he could be right back up there next season, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
This is a very scary team.
It's a tough one to prep against, for sure. The Magearna, if you look at the Magearna and think ground and fire, look at all, Magearna and Latios alone just kind of stop everything a bit. So, and then obviously you got the Mamoswine and also the Reverum, which can shift gear. Meow's a great pivot and can also hit pretty hard. I love Suicide Lead Meow personally. But yeah, you got Sticky Webs in Vikavolt. Meteor can set up. Cinderace is great. Keldeo is great. It's a good team.
Also looking at it again, it's another team where it's not really top loaded at all. Like
No,
every Pokemon here is threatening in its own right.
I think this is a team where you have to consider all 11 when you prep, because if you ignore that Vikavolt, it's got like base 130 or something special attack. It can hit stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Meteor will catch at least one person out this season, I promise you. Yeah, I think this one's a good one. So that's it for Victory League. Like I alluded to, I think if I had to pick my 2 or 3 guesses to potentially win this league, I would probably go the Retro City Rampardos, the Menacing Kraken, and possibly I like Tusk's team, the Grand Prairie Pangoros, and I also like the ISL Mob team too. I think it needs an ice type though. That would be my one suggestion for that team. But this is a strong league, and I expect big things from everyone.
These matches better be good.
Yeah,
You better
looking
bring
forward
some
to
fun
it.
things.
Yeah, creativity is always good, and it will catch people off guard.
Do you have any
All right,
final words of wisdom for your Victory League people?
get all your matches done before Sunday, or you will be banned.
Okay. I like it.
Have fun. Have fun. I want to see some fun sets and everyone in the right spirits.
Good advice.
I'll hand it over to you for your Wellspring League.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we have the same